I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Dror Medalion, the co-founder and GM of Stellero. Dror, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to see you again, and I'm glad that you're here.
Thanks for having me, Ashton. It's great to be here again.
You're very welcome. Let's kick it off by talking a little bit about Stellero. Now, Stellero is an alternative investment banking platform. What does that mean, and how does it involve blockchain technology?
Well, yeah, you described it correctly. I might add to that we are acting as a digital securities underwriter in the space of cryptocurrency and blockchain in general. And what is that we are doing exactly is we are taking the industry and creating the correct and compliant structures for crowdfunding, or actually helping businesses to raise funds using digital shares, using tokenization structures for private equity funds, for real estate asset owners, for startups, for SMBs. That's the main goal Stellero is aimed to achieve. With I know it's a big title, but we honestly see ourselves as an underwriter in this business, because we cover everything from the ideation to business model to tokenization schemes, and also at the end we are also taking care of the distribution and marketing.
Very interesting. And now, what is the difference or the advantage for companies to create digital shares versus just creating a regular share?
So if you think of, we are always dividing it to three pieces of this puzzle: the IPO, traditional capital markets; the ICO phase, which were some kind of experience, as we call it; and now the STO or DSO, which is a security token offering or digital securities offering. And what we noticed, it was a year ago when we founded the company, is that the regulation environment is going to be much more matured along the way. Like we are noticing a lot of countries accepting this new method of raising funds through digital shares. Obviously, we know that Facebook is now launching their own cryptocurrency. I know that JP Morgan, maybe one of the biggest investment banks, created his own cryptocurrency to conduct his own internal wires. So we are seeing the industry going to that direction. But what you don't have a firm that takes care of all the puzzle pieces here, because it's very complex. It's complex to take all of those different components, like legal aspects and audits of, the audit is very complex, because it's not just accounting audit or financial audit. It's a technical audit. You need to go over the smart contracts, make sure they are fully compliant with the local regulator, make sure the business model that were presented in the white paper or offering memorandum were well structured in the code, and make sure let's say the investors' rights are properly secured in that code as well, like revenue share and dividends. So we are seeing a completely different game from the ICO phase. The value proposition for investors are much higher here. They actually get a true share, digital share they can hold in their wallet, and not just wait for some, let's say, pump or dump to get a quick yield. They get a piece of the pie. They get to be an owner of a share of a true company. And if you think of the IPO space, that's so expensive. No company today can do an initial public offering on any exchange without securing millions of dollars. And it's too expensive. It's not transparent. It's full of bureaucracy. And the digital security space is taking care of a lot of those points.
Interesting. And that's where Stellero comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And what stage is the development of Stellero at right now, and is it already live in the market?
Yeah, so actually what we are doing, we are building a platform. We are already ongoing with that R&D, and this platform is for two phases of the structure. Is for the step of, let's say, the funding itself, the investors management, investors relations, All the onboarding, KYC, AML processes, the identification processes, that's it being done on our platform. But the second phase, and in my eyes, that's the most important phase, is the post-sale management. Because after you create that funding and you complete it, that funding round, you need to take care of your investors. You need to take care of the alerts, the notification, the asset management. So any investor can log into the platform, see his portfolio, and take care of his own assets and funds. Because that's the it's not just holding a token in their wallet. It's a true asset that will create yield for them, and they need to keep it safe and in a certain platform that will allow certain benefits. So it's also asset management and investors relation management platform, and that's the main product Stellero is building these days. The product is already operational. So what we are doing, we are implementing it with our customers on their website as a white label, so they can use it for their investors. But in the future, our vision is to have many more customers, and we call them partners, companies that we help raise capital. So we can create like a portfolio and open this platform to the public to become some kind of a secondary market to manage the public assets.
Very interesting. And have you also used your own platform to create a Stellero security token?
Yeah, that's correct. So what we came to realize that we are working for more than a year now based in Tel Aviv, in the startup nation, and we are conducting those crowdfunding campaigns, and not only crowdfunding campaign, but also, let's say, a larger rounds for let's say private equity funds that wants to raise 100 or 200 million, and that's a different structure from your regular crowdfunding campaign in Europe, for example. So what we came to realize is that we have that structure of private equity funds or real estate funds. We have that structure for real assets, but we don't have a structure for startups or SMBs, because startups or SMBs, they have like proprietary assets, right? It's not real asset, but that's their proprietary asset. So the first thing we thought is, let's do that structure on ourselves and create that security token called STRO, and utilize the platform for Stellero on our website in order to create a use case from A to Z with that regulatory environment that we are working in Europe under the ESMA regulations. And let's remember, guys, this is a security token, right? So it must be fully compliant. It must be escorted by top tier firms. We are working in partnership with BDO, one of the biggest, I think, audit and consulting firms in the space. We are working with top tier lawyer firms that make sure that we are working in a fully compliant environment. So when you take that structure, you have that validator or broker dealer in Europe that allows you to sign that white paper and allows you to sell to the public in Europe and also to retail up to 5 million euros. So that's a very good structure. So we built that structure not only in the technology aspect, the issuance, the platform, but also we took care of the missing puzzles of the regulations and legal. And that's the most important thing for any issuer, to make sure it stays fully compliant and work in a very safe environment.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And how does the business model differ from traditional investment banks to Stellero? Are you guys still making money in the same ways that you would?
Yeah, I think, it's very interesting, because what we are trying to do here is create some kind of a replica of the traditional capital markets, because, this is a financial industry. It's not the technology, in my eyes, it's became like a commodity. Okay, it's not the message here, because to be honest, anyone can create a smart contracts, right? It's not that hard. But the smart contract itself is just the infrastructure. The issuer and also the investor, they don't care as much as we think about the technology itself. They just want it to work, right? It's like Wi-Fi. It works or not, right? Because that's a digital share. They hold it. if it's secured enough, if it's fully compliant and escorted by the best partners, so it just works. And if you take the traditional investment banking, this space is so expensive. You can't even walk in the door to think about any funding round. So it's just not suitable for your small, medium businesses. It's not relevant for them. It's not relevant for the startup tier level. Okay, so for that, you need some kind of an alternative investment method, which digital securities just makes sense because you sell shares that represent some kind of a revenue stream or dividend portion, but you don't sell any seat in your board or on your decision making quorum. So it's just a win-win situation.
Interesting. And if there's companies that are around the world looking to do security token issuances, I would suspect that depending on where they're based in the world, there would be specific laws or regulations they would have to abide by. Now, how does Stellero deal with that? And are you quarantined to specific countries, or can anybody really use Stellero?
Well, first, we are a global firm and we are working with partners all around the globe, starting from USA and Canada, and also in the Middle East, in Europe, in Australia. What we decided to do is create like an ambassador plan or hubs of Stellero in those certain places. So in places that we know certain structures work fully compliant, from A to Z, legal and under a specific regulations, like in Europe, for example, in Spain, in Switzerland, in Eastern Europe, places like Malta, Estonia, places like that, but also in Western Europe, you already seeing the German regulator, the regulator in London. Those guys are starting to get into the game, and you see structures that are actually working. And we know how to collaborate both with local broker dealers, with local law firms, and with actually with the regulator themselves. I've conducted more than a dozen calls with regulators around Europe and in Canada and United States, because we are working with them, not in a different path than the regulator. This is an industry that when you want to stay fully compliant, you need to work in a specific, let's say, legal framework. So, for example, in the States, obviously everybody knows that the SEC has their own limitations. So what we offer to our customers is working with the most common practice as the Regulation D 506C, you know, that accredited investors can join and invest their own money. But if you're working in Europe, that's open to the public in specific exemptions. If you're working in the Middle East, you have that as well. What we've done is created an automation in our platform. When you log in and do the registration, you choose your nationality, and the system automatically pops up the specific form that's suitable for your regulator. So if you are we are recognizing your IP. So if you're sitting in a place in Africa, and for my knowledge, you can't invest in certain assets, you will be notified immediately. And if I need you to be an accredited investor or professional investor, you will have that form pops up and you will not be allowed to join. So we are working with the most common practices around the globe, supported by lawyers, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's great to hear. That's wonderful. And what is your team looking for right now? Are you looking for more developers? Are you looking for investors, or just more companies to utilize the services?
So I think for starter, you know, we are now conducting our own STO, 5 million euros around in Europe. We can see that on our website as well. But for our roadmap, I think Stellero has decided to really act as the threshold between the traditional capital markets and the blockchain environment. And when you combine the two, you actually need a producer. You need a specific firm or team that knows what they're doing in order to combine all the missing pieces of this puzzle together. Because you have many issuers agencies, you have many marketing agencies, you have many developers in the industry, but you don't have a team that combines everything together and acts like an underwriter and also takes care of the distribution at the end point, because we have our network of VCs, family offices, angel investors, also in Israel and abroad. And what we are doing, we are conducting roadshows, meeting, face-to-face meetings. We are taking that partner, as we call him, not a customer, and going to this journey with him shoulder to shoulder in order to complete the funding and also manage the funding after the sale is over, which is I think the most important thing.
Definitely. And how can people learn more about Stellero?
So anyone can obviously get into our website and see all the materials, see our workflow. You can check our official offering memorandum and light paper and investors deck. We have many interesting materials that speaks about the digital security space in general, but also about conducting STO structures in a fully compliant way. And you can check that out in our website. Our ongoing security token offering is just started. It will be live for 2 months. And hopefully we will conduct that, finalize it in a very successful way, and then we can utilize that for our customers base.
Amazing. Dror Medalion, co-founder and GM of Stellero. It's been a pleasure speaking with you again, and all the best on the project. Sounds like you got some good things going on, and I wish you luck moving forward.
Thanks, Ashton. Thanks for having me in your show today. It's been amazing, and good luck. Thank you so much.